welcome to The Time I Almost. Very lovely to have you all here. I'm Alexis Strum and I'm your host for tonight. And you may not know what this is all about, and I'm going to give it to you straight, set your expectations and set the bar sort of high-ish. So it's a comedy storytelling night with a twist. You've got some amazing comedians and superstars, in fact, going to tell you some unique stories you've never ever heard before about things that almost happened to them. So it could be anything. We will give you a little taste of what some of the stories are in a second, but just imagine this is as broad and as wide as the sea. So yeah, the storytelling night came about from my own experiences. I was a sort of almost actor, almost pop star, nearly sort of supermodel, but I was too fat, nearly screenwriter. All these things didn't work out. So I thought, right, I'm going to run a night called The Time I Almost and celebrate all of the shittery that comes with life and all those missed moments and missed opportunities. And it was weird because the first time I did the night, I realized there were so many other people that had gone through similar things, not just in this industry, but in life. You know, at the time I almost married my boss, the time I almost got chlamydia. So yeah, I mean, this is a Zoom gig. It's a Zoom gig. It's not real life. But the best thing about Zoom is that you can do really fun stuff. So, I mean, if you want, I'm on the Strictly studio at the moment. You might recognize it. Does anyone recognize that? Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's Strictly announcement day. So we had to have that. But I could go really crazy and have like the Cheeky Girls, Nigel Farage, E.T. and maybe the Crankies. So, you know, it's wild. I know it's not real life, but we are real people and we're bringing you our lives for real. So there you go. But we've got the green room and then we have some people watching as well that we can't see. And we have our amazing guest speakers, storytellers tonight, no less. So let's just go through them and perhaps you could give us what would be your dating profile? Let's start with Vicky Pepperdine, please.
Oh my God. Okay. I was actually too thin to be a supermodel. and a little bit too sort of classically beautiful. Yeah. But as a result, I've cut my own hair and now look like a sort of Jack playing card, which is my new look. So I'd probably put Jack playing card on my dating profile.
Nice. Thank you for that, Vicky.
It's a great pleasure.
Yeah, and Vicky's, you're in a nice Airbnb this evening.
I'm in a lovely Airbnb. It belongs to an old lady. And so look, isn't that lovely? But I'm going to recreate this in my own home when I get back.
We'll all look forward to those pictures. Thank you, Vicky.
I will post those.
Next up, we've got Sophie Mccartney.
Hi. Oh, gosh, my dating profile, I reckon I'd probably position myself as a hypochondriac who can never be bothered to wash their hair. I think that's probably two major selling points that potential partners are after.
Yeah, I don't think that would put anyone off. That's strong.
I think I'd smell delicious and would always just, you know, any cough and I'd just be done over. That'd be immediate. Done.
Awesome. Shazia, I can't see you. Shazia Mirza.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
My dating profile would be, even I don't wake up looking like Cindy Crawford. But I have to tell you this, that I actually did go on a dating website once and I had loads of men contacting me. I put my real picture up and I had loads of men contacting me going, why are you pretending to be Shazia Mirza?
No way!
Yes, and it was me. They thought that somebody was pretending to be me, so I didn't get anywhere.
Oh, I think Sharon Stone had the same problem, so you're in good company. And we've got Tiff Stevenson. Hi, Tiff.
Hi.
What would your dating profile be?
It would say attached, probably, because I wouldn't have any idea about dating at this point. I've been with my boyfriend 13 years. Sorry, fiance. We got engaged at Christmas.
Oh, congrats.
So, thanks. He'll be excited when he finds out as well. I don't know. I don't know what I'd put. Probably annoying, loud. Don't bother. I'm kind of limiting the amount of. Actually, that's unfair. I was going to say I'm limiting the amount of men. I like lots of men, but but there's a lot of dicks out there. So maybe dick deflector.
I
would
love
put
that.
Champion dick deflector.
And I'm guessing that we've all got we're all ready to spill our times we almost. I'm going to put them up on the screen. And I thought as a fun, is that back to front or is that the right way round?
That's right.
That's the right way around. Wonderful. So these are the stories. I'll just move out the way. And I thought perhaps you could just have a little think as audience members, which storyline you think goes with which of those guests that we've just seen. Who could it be? Interesting. Well, I'm going to cut to the chase now. I think we need to get started. And our first storyteller, keep thinking which story it could be, is Sophie Mccartney. And Sophie's going to share her story with you right now. And this is a warm and inviting storytelling place, everyone. And, unmute yourself, laugh, do what you will, heckle. Well, don't heckle, just be pleasant. So Sophie Mccartney, tell us about the time you almost.
Okay, I just say on the heckling note, I think I'm being heckled by my own children in a different room, by the way. So if you hear something, that's what that is. I've locked them out though, it's fine. So my story, I have to say, just a disclaimer here, it comes from a time when I was a much more interesting person. It was a time before I had my kids, when my belly button didn't resemble like a cat's arsehole, #blessed. But it was 2011, so we're going back in time a little bit. Wills had just taken Kate up the aisle, but we were all far more interested in Pippa's arse at the time, weren't we? Charlie Sheen was winning at everything, and the last Harry Potter film that was on at the cinema, we all waved a sad farewell to Daniel Radcliffe's acting career. He didn't do much else after, did he? But I was 26 and my husband had decided that we were just going to quit our jobs and that we were going to go and we were going to travel the world. And I know what you're all thinking, total child bride. I was indeed. But I had two concerns about this issue. The first of which, I was very, very worried about this. Like, were my GHDs going to work in Fiji? Because humidity is no woman's friend. The second was that I might die in a horrific, fiery ball of molten metal and aeroplane fuel, because I hate flying. I cannot. It's my biggest fear. And you get some people who are like, oh my gosh, I hate flying. But once they've had a wine and a mini tub of Pringles for $5, they're fine. I'm not in that camp. I'm very much in the, I have to be drugged and maybe rugby tackled onto a plane in a kind of kidnap scenario kind of way. Honestly, every family holiday that we go on, it's like a scene out, that film Taken? The night before, I hide in bedrooms and my husband, he walks around the house and he's like, I will look for you and I will find you. It's terrifying. Anyway, so to alleviate that kind of marital stress, I had to do 20 flights, by the way, in this world trip, 20 odd flights minimum. So I went to the doctors and he prescribed me with, I think the medical terminology is a shitload of Valium. Absolute shitload. Or after I'd call it after a couple of gin and tonics, a Valium. Don't do drugs, kids. Well, unless you think you're going to die and they're prescribed, then just fill your boots. I don't know if anybody else has ever done Valium in a legal setting. Yeah. Okay. Has a very strange effect where in your mind, you're like, fuck, I'm going to die. But your body's like, well, what are you going to do about it? And I feel like the irony of me dying in a plane crash while smacked off my tits in Valium is that probably everybody else would have escaped because they could use their legs. And I'd just be kind of sat in my chair trying to put out the flames that were ever encroaching just with my own drool. Anyway, so I made it to Bangkok, we survived, and we were in and out of Bangkok on lots of occasions. We used it as a bit of a portal to get to other places. And this particular occasion, we needed an Indian visa. And we were told actually it would be quicker and it would be cheaper if we crossed over the border and we went to Malaysia. Now to do this, we had to get on a 16-hour and 25-minute coach ride down to a place called Perak in Malaysia. There was no air conditioning, there were no toilet facilities. It was a bit like the Venga bus if it had been taken over by Satan in a kind of corporate merger. We were New York to Southeast Hades, the driver might have rabies. It was terrifying. But anyway, so we arrived 16 hours and 25 minutes later at the Indian embassy in Perak, only to be told that our best chance of getting the visa would be to go to Bangkok. Oh, it was bad times. And because we needed it urgently, we had to get on a plane. So we arrived back in Thailand 24 hours kind of after we last left. Some of us a little bit tired, some of us fucking furious, and some of us smacked off our tits. Anyway, so we decided the best way to get over the anger of the situation was to just go out and to just get really, really drunk on the Koh San Road was where we went. Classy birds are us. Anyway, my drink of choice was Somsang whiskey. Has anyone ever had the pleasure of a Somsang? Okay, so Thai whiskey is basically like rocket fuel, and then they mix it with their own version of Red Bull, which is effectively speed, but it comes really handily in its own bucket, which is great for just when you need to just regurgitate it out 5 minutes later. So I had some of that. I got very, very drunk very, very quickly, and I got chatting to a group of Welsh people in this bar, and they invited me to what I thought in my quite drunk little mind was a karaoke bar, and I was like, amazing, I love me some karaoke. So we negotiated our rate with our little tuk-tuk driver to take us in and get us entrance, and off we went. Anyway, I would say possibly 30 seconds after stepping foot inside of a very, very questionable and seedy venue, that it dawned on me that when drunk, I apparently have some issues interpreting the Welsh accent, and what I'd heard as a sing-song bar. Not the case. And I was, in fact, in a ping pong bar. Oh, I'd walked in singing like a virgin in preparation. And all I could think of was, what are these Welsh people thinking of me? In the tuk-tuk the whole way, I was going on about how much I loved me some bangers. I was going to do Whitney. I was going to have it with Mariah. Oh God, the horror. Anyway, so I was like to my husband, I was like, no, Steve, we need to leave. We need to leave. I can't do this, Steve. We need to just go. Anyway, the tuk-tuk driver took great offence to this because he was getting a cut of our entrance fee. There were some hostilities that then happened. I was a bit gobby. I'm Scouse. It's kind of in my DNA. I can't help it. And then they put the price up. Now, I did not want to go into the ping pong bar, but the minute that they suddenly changed the goalposts on me and were trying to, put some kind of extortion on us. Oh no, I wasn't having that. Absolutely not. I was like Anne Robinson from Watchdog. I was like, excuse me, I'm speaking for all the ping pong patrons of the world. This is incredibly unfair and ridiculously expensive. I don't know why I felt to go on such a moral high ground, considering like over my shoulder, there was a woman shooting razor blades out of her vagina, and there was a queue of men queuing for a lap dance, and I assume a wet shave. Like, who says men can't multitask? Because that's what I could see that was happening right there. Anyway, I'm still going on, and it was at this point that the Thai police arrived in the situation, and my husband was like, babe, step down, all right, we'll just pay. I think he wanted to see it. I'm just putting it out there. He was just quite happy for us to just go on in there and just unhygienically get ping pong balls deflected into our faces. But anyway, I wouldn't. I was like a dog with a bone. And at this point, I was kind of like angrily brandishing my handbag in the air like a furious pensioner. And it was, I think, kind of in a slow-mo setting that my 2 packs of Class C narcotics at this point just kind of flurried out of my handbag in a kind of like, narcotic little snowstorm all over the ground. The absolute horror. Like, my life flashed before my eyes, and it wasn't in like a fun Bridget Jones Wonder Bra in prison situation. It was like in a public execution kind of style. And I was thinking, what's the Daily Mail going to write about me? What are the headlines going to be? It's going to be like, British backpacker sentenced to death for smuggling pills into a ping pong bar. And I thought, the main question everyone's going to be thinking is, well, how did she smuggle them into the ping pong bar? Like, where did she put them? My mother's going to be reading this. I thought, God, people are going to be like selling their stories on me who went to school with me. They're going to be like, well, she was always unnaturally into table tennis. Poor Linda, my mum, she's going to be walking around Tesco with like a Free the Ping Pong Perv t-shirt on her. Like, it just all happened so fast inside my eyes. Unfortunately, my husband, not as hammered as I was, he had my medical exemption letter in his wallet. So he'd whipped it out and was like brandishing it like a shield in front of me. All the lovely Thai policemen had a little laugh and still made us pay 30 quid each to see the really weird Nerf gun like show. Elaine came out, projectile vomited all over myself, my husband, and that was the last time that we went to Thailand, and the time I almost ended up in a Thai prison.
Amazing. Thank you. Wow, there's a lot to unpack, really, and I want to change my virtual background. So, in sympathy, I picked a picture from Orange Is the New Black. There we go, just to kind of make you feel at home. Sophie, how do your holidays compare now that you've got kids?
I mean, pretty similar, to be fair.
Right.
I quite often just drink my way through the pain. So, you know, and hey, kids love a bouncy ball, don't they? So I might take them back to Thailand. I think that's got family holiday written all over it, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I had another question, which was, what was the best item that you saw come out of one of the women's vaginas? Just so that we're aware.
Yeah,
darts.
A balloon, yeah, and she was shooting darts. She was like the best James Bond baddie you have ever seen. Like, they should have that in the next film, just like some really hot woman, just like pow,
yeah,
like kill a dart to the neck vaginally. Yeah.
I have a question.
Go on, Vicky.
Genuinely interested. Has anyone here ever tried shooting anything out of their vagina?
Only babies.
But apart from babies, only because obviously as I got older, I started doing more pelvic floor exercises. But I genuinely don't think I could shoot very much at all out, and I just wondered if that's something I should be practicing. And if there's a starter pack, you know, what do you start with? What would you work
Kegels perhaps, or maybe small implements that you can find just in the kitchen. You could start with
knives, teaspoons,
knives,
a ladle. Yeah, for sure.
I think it sounds very, very clever, but I can't quite imagine actually doing it. But anyway, perhaps that's just me.
We can do some research for you.
Goop sell them. Goop sell them.
Oh, okay.
They sell weighted dildos because, of course, they do. I mean,
of course. And can you shoot those out of your vagina?
I don't know if you can shoot it, but I think they're meant to tighten everything up in there.
No, sure, no.
I mean, that's a projectile missile if you shoot a weighted.
Yeah, that would be dangerous, and you might end up in prison.
I've heard Pilates helps.
To shoot things out of your vagina.
Apparently it does strengthen the muscles down there, but that's only really for middle class women.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think anybody else really does Pilates.
No.
And you can get from the Goop website, just quite right, there are many vagina related implements, also a candle that smells of Gwyneth's vagina.
Oh, that's lovely.
That she brought out, I think, for the festive season. Yeah.
And do you work for them now, Alexis?
I would like to. I would like to be endorsed.
Avon
here
lady
we go.
quality.
We have a vagina candle. Yeah, I could do that.
She said that she, I mean, she's sort of hawking jade eggs and vaginal steaming machines.
Yeah.
And Gwyneth Paltrow was like, I want to change the culture of conversation around vaginas, and I was like, you've definitely changed the culture to candida, because none of these things should be going in there.
No, absolutely. Lovely.
And yes, thank you so much for those questions. And also, if anyone in the green room wishes to ask a question, you know, you can raise a hand or you can pop a question in the chat. Sophie, I feel like I'm trying to find something that's going to give you closure on this story. I think what I'm going to go with, I'm a survivor, I'm going to make it, I will survive and keep on surviving. So I thought after 3, if we can all chant that to you, it's kind of a lot to remember, but I think we're familiar with the track. So it's I'm a survivor, I'm going to make it, I will survive and keep on surviving. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm a survivor.
I'm going to make it.
I will survive.
I will survive.
And keep on surviving.
Surviving.
How's the closure for you, Sophie? You feeling?
Thank you.
You feeling? Is it done good work of a vaginal candle? You feel cleansed?
I do feel cleansed. Yes, I do.
Good.
Yeah.
We can set you
Thank
back out into the world.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sophie Mccartney. Woo. Right. Let's have a little chat with the green room, shall we? Roberto he was really getting very excited when you were talking about the various things the lady was shooting out of her vagina.
There's so much variety.
So much variety.
Spice of
Variety is the
life.
spice of life. And we've got a cat in the
Oh,
audience.
God.
Who's the cat?
It's Cassidy. She's my little kitten. There's another one downstairs with my boyfriend.
Got a nice
Um,
bum hole view there. That was
yeah.
lovely.
She's
Excellent.
Oh,
Sorry, carry on.
Oh, she's a
I have to
rescue
say
cat.
that the lighting of your room is bringing me horrible flashbacks. To the
It's my new fashionable
I'm reliving.
Is it a bit triggering? Okay.
protector.
Right, Katie, we're going to move on from you now because it's triggering Sophie. So one last question. Sophie, with your experiences, could you not enjoy a visit to Thailand one more time?
Yeah, do you know what? I probably could. I might lay off the whiskey and hey, do you know what? Maybe I'll get on Goop and I'll give those girls a run for their money this time. I don't know what I'll be shooting out. I mean, really randomly, this is next to me. I don't know why.
Just give it a go now.
And then, see how we go.
Oh, this is great. Thank you. I think we'll move on from that because it's becoming a bit of a tutorial now and I don't think anyone wants to see anything going anywhere right now. Next up, we have Tiff's story. And now, should we hold up let's see if anyone can guess what Tiff's story is going to be. Let me get the options. You can have a little guess in the crowd because it just makes it a little bit more fun, doesn't it? Now, is that going to be round the right way? There we go. Oh no, that's
round
back
the
to
other way.
front. There we go. So, which one do you think is Tiff's story? Have a good look at her. What do you think? Well, over to you, Tiff. We're about to find out.
I haven't told this story for ages because it was going back like 20 years. And I know you're like, how could she be that old? What? No way. I'm in my 40s now, or as I prefer to call it, uncastable. Really enjoying it. That's not fair. There is de-aging technology now for men. It's just mainly if you want to work with Scorsese. You can be any age. You can literally be a walking liver spot, and they can make you look 20 on screen. It's fine. But this was when I was just sort of starting to do small amounts of acting, and it was my second sort of ever acting job. In fact, my first ever acting job I did was in a Crime Watch reconstruction, one of those things. I don't know if you've ever seen them. And it was in Southend, and we had to do a fight sequence. And the guy who I was supposed to be fighting with got very upset because he was like, "This director is not trained in fight coordination." And everyone else was a bit like, "It's a Crime Watch reconstruction, mate. Wind your neck in." So, so my second ever job, I think it was my second ever job, I got cast in this really kind of like little known show called The Office. You may have heard of it, and it was sort of one of my first acting jobs, and I was young. I was like 21 or something. We had a wrap party for it, so I only did about 3 or 4 days on the show because it was all the nightclub scene in Chasers with the curry flavored condoms and all of that kind of stuff. And then this is a fun feminist point to make on the day of the shoot, and I don't know how I had the foresight and the kind of nous to stand up for myself, but on the day of the shoot the producer came up to me and went, "We want to put in this little scene where Ralph Ineson, his character, he's a lovely man, fabulous actor, he's playing Finchy, he was like, where Finchy fucks you over a car in the car park, so would you be up for doing that?" And I was like, "No." No, and it was one of my first jobs, and I was just like, "No, that's not in the script. I don't, I'm not into it. I don't think it's necessary." Like, we were already like snogging outside the nightclub, and this is how I knew I'd made the right decision. He literally walked along to the next actress and went, "So will you do it then?" And she, like, in front of me, and she was like, no, I will not do it. Anyway, so apart from that, the shoot was lots of fun. We're at the wrap party, and it's my first time I've ever been to the BBC, and I didn't know about the free booze at wrap parties. And there was a lot of my favourite drink, or in fact, the drink that sums up my personality, white wine. So I was white wining, and I took along my friend to this party, and he's an actor as well, and we got smashed. We hung out with various cool people that were also working on the show, and I sort of remembered at about 1 a.m. that the next morning I was booked to do I'm going to say a modelling job. Like, and when I say modelling, I used to wear clothes on the Big Breakfast and walk out in outfits that Wayne Hemingway from Red or Dead would put me in. So it was like a modelling job. I think I got paid like £100 every time I did it. And it was insane, because I don't know if you ever watched that show, but, you know, I mean, I can't confirm this, but it felt like everyone was coked off their bin. Anyway, I cannot possibly confirm, but I'm just saying, that much energy that early in the morning. So every now and then, because I lived in a flat full of models at the time, I would get the phone call to go do to go do that, and he would always put me in disgusting clothes as well. I think he didn't like me, Wayne, but you know, I showed up, looked like absolutely terrible, and then, you know, that was fine. So at 1 a.m. I remember that I've got this thing, and they picked me up at 4 in the car to get me on set. And I need to be out of the makeup chair and ready for like 6 a.m. so they can do the segment. I feel like it's 7. Anyway, so this car comes to pick me up, and I feel probably still drunk when I'm in it on the way to the studio. We get there, and I sit in the makeup chair, and the makeup artist just looks at me and goes, I don't know what you want me to do with green. Your face is green. Like, I don't know what I can do with green. So we have to make me look not nauseous. They pile the slap on my face, and he gives me literally a Hessian sack, and he's like, art's in fashion now. This was very much Wayne Hemingway. He's like, what we doing this week? We're going to talk about Patrick Cox. I've been at a party. What can we make Tiff look like a dickhead in? So Hessian sack, and a really beautiful leather Vivienne Westwood handbag. Like, the accessory was always more beautiful than I was in these modelling segments. So I'm upstairs. I think it might have even been Gabby Roslin at the time, and I've never spoken to her about this. She might have been toasting. I remember Donna Air was there, like bouncing off the walls. And Gabby, I would say Gabby was always very professional. So, but we were upstairs. I come out. Everyone's running around because the set is designed like there's cables coming in. It's like in a house. The set is in a house next to the lock. So people are running in and out of rooms, squeezing in and out. And I'm waiting outside the room to go on. And just before I'm about to go on air, like, I get that, you know, when your throat like waters up. And even the night before, I'd like tried to remember that I knew I was drunk, so that I should definitely like at least try and eat something before I went to the bed. And I've forgotten this bit actually. I got into my house, I found bread that I couldn't even toast, just like dry bread. And like I ate 2 slices of it. And when I woke up, when the car came to pick me up, I woke up with bread still in my mouth. Like a slutty duck. So I like had in my mouth when the man came to pick me up in the car. I'd forgotten about that. So anyway, I'm in this side room waiting to go on. It's like 30 seconds to go, and I can feel my throat just like I'm getting that like kind of sweat, that sort of sheen, and I'm green round the gills. That, you know, that phrase, green round the gills. And they pull me out, and I'm shaking. I've got the DTs. It's like so bad. Like, and I come out, and I'm like, yes, doing the turns. And he's like, Tiffany, can you turn around, show us the, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna throw up. And here's the thing, in my skint like brain at the time, the early days of my acting career, my poor little actor's brain went, I wonder if I like throw up in this bag, will I get to keep it? Because it is Vivienne Westwood. And then literally, like I do like my 2 turns, he talks about the outfit, I walk out and I'm sick in the hallway. Like I just throw up everywhere. Like I like, that was the time I nearly threw up on live TV because I missed it by like seconds. And I don't think I would ever have escaped that in my entire life if I'd have been just the girl who's, people have built careers on less. But I missed it. I missed it by seconds. And that was they never booked me again for the show. You know, the acting career just kept going from there. But I remember thinking, never again should you get drunk the day before you've got to, or the night before you've got to get up and do live TV first thing in the morning. So that's my story, as much of it as I remember.
Amazing. Give it up for Tiff. I've got a nice toilet woman throwing up.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it had been in a toilet. That would have been...
This is very much a Peruna kind of version of being sick, I think,
yeah.
Classy.
Yes, this isn't just vomit. This is Marks and Spencer's vomit.
There's lots that we need to unpack for you, Tiff, to give you some closure on this. First of all, actually, a tweet's just come in.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, from Wayne Hemingway. And he says, "Dear Tiff, I'm really sorry I made you look like a dickhead. I put you in bad clothes because I was in love with you and I didn't want any other man to fall in love with you."
Yeah,
right. That's
so obvious now.
That sounds 100% like a thing he wouldn't say. But
do we have any questions for Tiff?
Have
Because
you
I
learned
certainly do. Go for it, Vicky.
So have you learned from your mistake, Tiff, or have you done it again? Or do you do that thing that we all do when we're really drunk and we're hugging the toilet and you go, "I'm never doing that again," and then you're like, "Oh, wine."
Oh, yeah. I promised myself. The hangover euphoria kicks in, doesn't it? Where you're just happy to like not feel sick anymore.
Yeah, just be alive.
Yeah, just to be alive. So that happened when I got home. But unfortunately, there have been a few times. I mean, the Edinburgh Fringe, you run through it, not on food, but on booze. So there's been a few times but I've never missed a performance or like a stand-up gig or in anything. But there's been a few kind of times where I've gone on feeling like absolutely hanging, and then Dr. Theatre kicks in and you go, oh, but nothing as bad as that. Nothing to the I'm going to vomit in my place of work because I had such a huge, and I was young then. I feel like it kind of would have fitted in with the whole, it was that time, wasn't it? The ladette vibes, all of that sort of thing. It was like, I think it was like The Office came out in 2001. I think maybe shot it in 2000. So it's just kind of the tail end of all of that. Like, what's it they called it? The ladette culture.
Oh, the ladette culture.
The ladette culture, all of that. So it might have been like, legend! Like, Stevenson's gone and thrown up on live. Give her a show on Channel 4.
Yeah. Yeah. And kept the handbag, That was inspired.
Oh, Vivienne Westwood. Yeah, I absolutely adore Vivienne Westwood.
Yeah.
So that would have been an absolute touch. I can't imagine it would have been less than 300-400 quid.
Yeah.
So,
I imagine you devalued it somewhat, though.
Yeah. But
Or did she?
I didn't throw up in the bag. I threw up just like on the banister.
Yeah. I like the thinking though. It's good thinking. Quick thinking. Improv.
Did the scene exist with Finchy fucking someone up the arse? Did they get someone else in the end?
It did. It went to series 2 and it was a different character, yes. And it happened over the photocopier, I think.
So weird. So they just had that idea in their head. They had to carry it on to, it was just...
It was just one of those things. I just hadn't, but I don't, I suppose I've always been someone who's been a bit sort of spicy in that sense of just like, I'll say
difficult.
No. Difficult, yeah. That's when you get branded,
Very
you
difficult.
Say anything,
say
anything as a woman and you're immediately difficult. But I just, it was just a thing of like, that's not in the script and I don't feel comfortable with that. And also, to be fair to Ralph was a bit like, so they just wrote it into the next, I think they got around it by going, oh, well, people feel uncomfortable if it's sprung on them, but if we write it in, and it is, to be fair, it's different. Someone knows that they're doing that, then that's a different conversation. But I felt like it didn't add anything artistically. But yeah, so just one of those things. But you'll find, I think as a woman in this industry, you'll find this you'll find this happen. So, you know, but good that I managed to say no early doors.
And I think Slutty Duck should definitely be the name of your clothing range if you ever do bring one out.
I should bring out a clothing range. I've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
But I think mine should be for like people who aren't that bothered about fashion. You know, like a clothing range for people who don't care. Just like t-shirts that have stuff on it like this will have egg on it later. Everything eventually gets egg on it, doesn't it? Or like, you know, the opposite of those Nike just do it, just like can't be asked.
Yeah, just
do a
don't.
tracksuit with can't be asked on it.
I've got an affirmation for you, Tiff. It's come to me from the spirit world, and we're all going to chant it to you. And it is: nobody puts baby in the corner. Okay.
Beautiful.
I feel like it's just gets to the heart and the meat and the two veg of your story. So on 3, nobody puts baby in the corner, please, folks. 1, 2, 3. Nobody
puts baby in the corner. In a fucking corner.
Yes. Do you feel better, Tiff?
Is it okay if I have like a Muller fruit yogurt? Is it all right if I'm in the corner then? I like the corners in those.
Oh yeah. Yeah, nice.
Yes, absolutely. That's the only exception.
I do feel better, and I do feel like one of the beautiful things about, you know, having comedy, you know, be part of your life is that every awful misfortune can be turned into material and laughs.
Yes.
You know, even if it's at your own expense.
I think we should alert everyone to the fact that Becky has put, I'd buy the clothing range dick deflector. This is my thumbs up emoji.
Yep, seconding that.
Okay, I need some championship dick deflector top.
Slutty Duck and Dick Deflector, also great names for your autobiography as well, just, you know.
or duck deflector. I don't know.
Okay, we're on to our next storyteller. We're powering through these really painful, embarrassing moments. Next up is Shazia. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for your moment?
So I've met the Queen 3 times. She doesn't realise she's met me before. She probably thinks I'm Lenny Henry. But the thing is, I've had 3 invitations from the Queen over a period of 5 years. This is true. And the second time she invited me to Buckingham Palace, the first time she invited me was for my charity work. I'd only done 2 gigs with Funny Women, and she thought that meant that I had to be invited to the palace because my charity work was so amazing. I really hadn't done that much charity work, so I was really baffled as to why she had invited me. Second time she invited me, it was because the Indian Prime Minister was coming to Britain. And the Queen thought, I know, let's gather up some Indian people and invite them to the palace. I'm not Indian. But the Queen thought, let's gather up some Indian people and people who look Indian and invite them to the palace. And so I turned up to Buckingham Palace. And it was very strange because I really didn't, it said on the invitation that the Indian Prime Minister is coming to Britain, please dress appropriately. Obviously, being Indian, I didn't have any Indian clothes. So I wore my jogging bottoms and a burqa. And what happened is I turned up to the palace and every brown person in Britain that is slightly well known was there. There was like Meera Syal, Sanjeev Bhaskar, Jamila Jamil, not Indian either. And on all these varying shades of brown people who were slightly well known. And Gurinder Chadha was there. And we were all there at the palace, and I walked in and they put on this display of Indian dancing, anything Indian, they just whacked it together. They had Indian dancers, Indian food, Indian flags. It was just all full on Indian. What happened is we had to queue up. I'd never met the Queen like this before, where we all had to queue up in a line, one after the other, and somebody would call out your name, and then you would have to come in front. There was Prince Philip, there was the Queen, and there was the Duke and Duchess of Kent. And they were all stood in a line, and they would call out your name, and then that person would have to step forward and meet the Queen and Philip and everyone. Now, honestly, none of us knew what to do. We didn't know whether to curtsy or bow or shake hands. No, we weren't told any of this. So I'm standing in line, and there's a man in front of me. Obviously, he was brown. I think he was Indian. And somebody called out his name. His name was Atul Patel. And all I heard, I was standing behind him, and all I heard was Prince Philip going, Atul Patel, oh, there's a lot of your family in tonight. That's what Prince Philip said to this man. And I was standing behind him. And I think that was meant to be a joke. Nobody laughed. And it was, we was really shocked. This man didn't laugh at all. He shook his hand. Then it was me. And because I was the only woman on that row, I didn't know whether to curtsy or bow. I ended up doing all of it. I did everything. I curtsied, I bowed, I shook hands with Philip. Anyway, so I didn't know what to do. I was really nervous. And then, the Queen was in line. And she said to me, and what do you do? Because she didn't have a clue who anybody was. She said, and what do you do? And I said, I'm a comedian. And she said to me, oh, what a fascinating way to describe yourself. That's what the Queen said to me. What a fascinating way to describe yourself. And like there was Meera Syal, there was Sanjeev Bhaskar, there was loads of comedians. And then she said to me, where do you do that? And I never ever thought I'd get into a conversation with the Queen. So I was not prepared for any of this. And all I could think of was that night I was doing the Royal Vauxhall Tavern. And so I said to her, oh, I'm doing the Royal Vauxhall Tavern tonight. And she said, what's that like? And I said, oh, it's really gay. It's really gay, and it was a gay night. And she said, oh, how fascinating. Just what she said. Oh, how fascinating. And then, and I was in the middle of this conversation with her, and it was a conversation. I felt like I was there for at least 10 minutes. She said, excuse me, I'll be back. And she went, there was Prince Philip, and then there was the Duke and Duchess of Kent, and the Queen says, oh, excuse me, I'll be back. So the rest of the line, they all had to wait, and she disappeared. And she has these boys, these young boys, who hang around her, who kind of do everything for her, call out people's names, and if the Queen needs anything, they get it for her. And he said, one of the guys said to me, oh, I think the Queen has finished with you. She's just gone off. So maybe you'd like to move forward and have some of the canapes. And I thought, oh, I was in the middle of a conversation there with the old lady, with the lady. It was like chatting to an old woman at a bus stop. It felt like that. Very, very normal, very ordinary, So anyway, I went to get these canapes. There was loads of people there, and I thought, you know what, I really need to go to the toilet. I got very nervous when I was talking to the Queen. I never expected her to ask me any of the questions that she did. So I thought, oh, you know what, I'll just go to the toilet. I didn't ask anybody where the toilet was. And I just went through these doors. I mean, there was security everywhere, but it wasn't really that tight. And there was a big blue, it was like a pastel blue door, really big, with white flowers on the outside. And you know what? I just pushed it open. It could have, it could have been the Queen's bedroom. I didn't know. I just walked through it. I thought, we're mates now. She really did like me. I walked through the door, and there was loads of these like dark oak wooden doors on the side. And I just pushed one of them open. I thought, there must be a toilet back here. I just pushed the door open and I went in, and it was really, really grand. It had oak wooden doors. The toilet, really posh toilet roll. I have to admit, I did steal one as a souvenir. And it had molten brown hand wash, hand lotion, perfume, and it was really grand. And I locked the door behind me because I thought that was the only toilet there, but it wasn't. There were actually 2 toilets in the big room. Anyway, I just went into the toilet, and I heard some noises next door. And I thought that was a separate room. Then I heard some footsteps coming out of it was a cubicle. It was a cubicle next door. I didn't know that. Heard some footsteps coming out. They were really small feet footsteps. They were like if somebody's wearing tap dancing shoes. It was a bit like that. I was thinking, and to me it sounded like someone was coming up the corridor, but it wasn't. It was this, and then I heard a clank of the door next door, and I thought, oh my God, somebody's in here. And I started going, hello, I'm in here. You're gonna have to wait. I'm in here. That's what I was saying. I'm in here. You're gonna have to wait. And nobody said anything. It was just totally quiet. Then I heard the taps going, and I got really scared because I knew really it wasn't a public toilet. I wasn't meant to be in there. And then I opened the door and I came out and I saw this little person, and she had her back, and she was walking out of the door in pastel green. I just met the Queen. I'd just been chatting to her. She was wearing pastel green top and bottom, like a long and a skirt, and she had a handbag with her. And I came out of the toilet. She was just going out of that door, trying to open the door, which I had shut behind me. So I almost shut me and the Queen together. Almost happened. When I saw the little lady approaching the outside door, I thought, fuck me, it's the Queen. It was the Queen trying to get out of the cubicle that I had locked us both into. And so what I did is I went back into the toilet. I thought, I'll give her some time to get away. So she won't know we've both been in there. I've tried to lock her in. I've tried to stalk her, you know, all of that. I just went back into the cubicle for about 10 minutes. And I heard her little feet going up the corridor like that. And I thought, okay, she's nearly gone there. Then I took my time, used all the molten brown, stole the toilet rolls, all of that, came back out. And you know what I noticed is that the Queen didn't dry her hands. Because she went back out and I saw her walking into the main room going like this. And I thought, you know, there wasn't a hand dryer or anything in there. There was like those towels that you used to, and she didn't do any of that. She just went out wet-handed, you know. So, and I just looked at her, and I came out afterwards, and one of her guys, these young boys that look after her, said to me, where have you been? And I said, well, I just went to the toilet. And he said, that's a private area only for royals and royal staff. And I said, well, I've just been in there with the Queen. And there was heavy security on me then for the rest of the afternoon. But it's true, that's all true, that all happened. And the next day, it was in the Sun newspaper that somebody, Prince Philip had called this man. I said to this man, are you, he said, I'm Atul Patel. And Prince Philip went, oh, there's a lot of your family in tonight. Somebody had heard that and reported it to the Sun. And it was all in the papers. And I was thinking, that ain't the biggest story that happened there. I heard the Queen peeing and I was next door. So that's the night, that's the day I almost locked the Queen in the toilet.
Amazing. Give it up for Shazia. Brilliant. I'm going to change my picture accordingly. There we go. So I've got the Queen there, Olivia Colman. Can't tell the difference. That's amazing, Shazzy. It's so much that I need to unpack there. First of all, the Queen saying to you, "I'll be back," like the Terminator. Love that. Nice detail. Also, what did she smell like?
Do you know what? I really do love the Queen. The Queen is so lovely. She's such a lovely woman. She was really interested in me, asked me loads of questions. She was really funny. I mean, at one point she said to me, "Do people recognize you?" Honest to God, she said to me, "Do people recognize you?" And I said, sometimes, you know. And she said, "The same thing happens to me."
You are buds for life. You're best friends for life.
Honestly, she went, sometimes I go shooting in the country and people look at me and they go, "I know you." And I go, "Where do you know me from?" And I wanted to say to her, "You're the fucking Queen." She honestly was chatting to me just like that and saying that. And then, you know, she even said to me her favourite programme was Coronation Street. She always watched that every night. Honestly, it was so unbelievable how relaxed and chatty and nice she was. And she looked beautiful, like her skin is like porcelain. And she's just wonderful. I think she's just lovely.
Vicky, you look quite enraptured by this story.
Well, no, I was trying to think of something to say because I was actually trying to think of a joke, but failed, sadly. But
Should we quickly cut away?
Please, can we just retake this? No, it was just actually around something like, I wonder what, you know, how on earth she looks so great, you know, she must have great food and people looking after her because she's the fucking Queen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but in a funny, but funnier.
In the format of a joke.
Because when you think about everything she's been through in her life, like, she didn't choose this life. She was forced into this life.
God made her do it.
That was a normal family. That's so much stress for a normal mother. And she's got to run the country and put up with these awful kids.
Oh.
I think you're going to need a really, really good affirmation on this.
Could we give her some of the money from this? Help her out. Help the Queen.
Oh, we have a question.
I'm that wayward husband of hers.
Oh,
as well.
Awful.
He sounds a scream. I think the Queen's quite savage, though. I'd watch out if I were you. She's going to be your next gig in the audience. She's going to be on the front row.
Don't worry. I don't travel through tunnels anymore. I think, you know, she's just, I think she's amazing. 93, really.
93.
You know what's really weird is this message just came up on the screen. It said Shazia's bandwidth is very low, and I think that someone might have
love the
special powers at the palace trying to mute you on your bandwidth. But I have a question for you from Sean. Do you still have the souvenir loo roll?
I do.
You do?
Yeah. Because I remember once on Denise Van Outen saying, "Oh, if you go to the palace, you've got to steal something. It's just what everybody does." And I'd heard her say that. And I thought, well, there weren't much to steal because the molten brown things were attached to this metal cylinder attached to the wall. So I couldn't steal.
Did you not bring a screwdriver?
No.
Next
security. But I did steal a toilet roll, a whole one. I took a whole one. And I did sign a few copies of and give them out as Christmas presents.
And one really, really important question. It's very highbrow, so just be prepared. We all want to know: did the Queen do a number 1 or a number 2?
Oh, I think it was a wee wee.
Just a wee.
Or very loose bowels. She was nervous meeting you.
She was very quick. It was very quick in and out.
Did she actually wash her hands, or do you think she did?
I did hear the taps going.
You did. She wasn't like she was just like rubbing her like old lady piss into her hands.
I mean, people forget she is an old woman. She could be incontinent. She is an old woman. Like she looks like.
It's quite weird though, isn't it? Because you know when you say to your kids, even the Queen goes to the toilet, or even the Queen poos and farts. Well, now we know we have empirical evidence here.
We don't know she farts. Sorry,
no, we don't. Sorry. Okay, thank you, Vicky.
I didn't hear her fart.
Just point of order.
Okay, I have an affirmation for you.
Okay.
They may take our lives, but they will never take our freedom, which I feel kind of sort of fits the story.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's do it on 3. This is going to make you feel so much better. They may take our lives, but they will never take our freedom. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. They may take our lives,
but they
but
will
they will
never
never
take
take
our
our freedom.
freedom. Yay.
Do you feel better? You feel better, Shazia? No, not
She's
so much.
frozen.
No, she's frozen. She's frozen. The bandwidth is killed.
That's the
mean
palace.
has
That's
come
the
off her.
palace. She's been
Amazing.
silenced.
Right, so we are running a little bit later than we thought we would. It's now 8 o'clock. We've got 2 more stories to go, and then there's an award ceremony at the end with no actual awards, no expense spent whatsoever. So you'll be pleased to know that that's going to happen. So I'm going to tell you my story. I've got a little picture, so you'll know what it's all about. Ooh, so exciting! And this is the time. Oh no, I won't tell you. I won't tell you till the end. Right, there we go. So last year in August, I had really bad migraines. I've always suffered from them. And I went to the doctor and I said, oh God, this is just, I'm taking a lot of this medication. What do you suggest I do? It's, these are getting more intense. And the doctor said, well, we'll send you for an MRI scan and, just rule every possibility out. So went for the MRI scan. I went on holiday with my daughter, came back, completely forgot all about it. And I had a phone call and I missed a missed call, and I never answer my phone. I'm terrible. And it was the doctor. It was about 7:30 at night. And he said, oh, you better call me urgently, which you always think when that happens, you're like, oh my God, why is he staying so late? You should be watching Holby or whatever it is that doctors do. So I rang back and he said, yeah, got a little bit of bad news for you there, Alexis. We found a brain tumour and it's pressing on your pituitary gland. And if we don't get it out really, really soon, you're going to lose your sight. And I was just like, oh, what do you even do with that? It was horrible, absolutely horrible. And I just started dating as well. And I was just like, how am I going to get dick pics now? Can you audio describe that? I mean, what do I do here? No, I'm joking. But it was obviously very scary. And I could almost feel, like when someone tells you something's wrong with you, you start getting all the side effects and you start imagining things. And I was imagining already my eyesight was starting to go. So for like a few months, weeks, I was wearing sunglasses and not driving and sort of like, like a celebrity or a Kardashian. I just had to walk everywhere or get Ubers. And it was just a really strange time. And I kind of got my head around the fact that I was going to lose my sight. And I was still working, I actually was going for auditions at the time. And I auditioned for Brave New World, which is coming out really soon. I didn't get the part, obviously. And the scene, I had to act against Demi Moore for this scene. And I thought, oh my God, like I'm losing my sight. What if I lose my sight before I get cast in the part? Or if I'm on set, like, will they just sort of wheel me out and point me in Demi's direction? Do you know what I mean? It was so bizarre, but I carried on because that's what you do. And I had an appointment to go and see a specialist. So I kind of just started coming to terms with it. I watched all of Love Island, so I was up to date, all the things that you think when you're going to lose your sight, you're like, right, what will I do? It wasn't, go to the 7 wonders of the world sort of thing, or is it 8? I always lose track. It was like, I want to watch all of Love Island, this series. And there were a few other things. I had to make it through Keeping Up with the Kardashians and The Leftovers, which I was really enjoying. And just bizarrely, like all the bizarre things that you think of in that moment. But I got my head around it and I was just kind of resigned to the fact that, yeah, okay, I'm probably going to lose my sight and this, this brain tumor is going to change my life. And then I went to see the surgeon and he looked at the scans and everything and he said, maybe we'll send you for another MRI just to make sure and just so we can measure it and work out how I'm going to go in. Am I going to go in through your nose? I'm like, it's horrific. I'm going to go in through your nose, or are we going to cut you across your head to go in? So I went for the second MRI and then went back to the surgeon, bearing in mind I've totally changed my whole life path, thinking I was going to sell the house, I'm going to do this, or I'll get some, completely change the house up so that I'll be able to move around it, etc. And I went for this meeting and my dad was with me, he's probably in the audience. And the surgeon said, sorry, it's just a little lump. It's fine. It's just quite a natural little lump. There's nothing there. And he said, his words were, "You're categorically uninteresting to a brain surgeon," which I took as flirting. And that was that. And he sort of pat me out the door. That was it. You're all fine. And you know what? The weirdest thing is, I actually felt disappointed because I got my head around this whole new life, and then I had to go back to my old life. So yeah, it's not really a particularly funny story, but it was quite life-changing. And that was the time I almost had a brain tumor. So there you go.
Woo!
Yeah, thank you for the woo, Vicky.
I don't know why I whooped then. I just thought I'd lift the mood.
No, thank you.
I want to know if he still tried to go in through your nose, though.
Only on the first date, yeah.
Oh,
no.
cheeky.
No, I didn't.
I mean, that is heavy shit. That is heavy shit right there.
Yeah, it was. But actually, it's quite timely because with all the COVID stuff, I think it quite prepared me for this whole lockdown thing. Because, you know, when something sort of horrific is hanging over you, literally, you just adjust and you just get on with things. And it was good, actually, looking back. It was quite a riot, quite a hoot.
Did they apologise though for like putting you through the ringer with that?
They probably should have.
It was a big misdiagnosis, isn't it?
It was really actually my GP that made the error, because he'd got all the notes through, and it does say I've got an 8mm or whatever it was lesion on the brain, and he just kind of put all the other bits together, the migraines, this, that, and he decided, oh no, that's a brain tumor, it's going to have to come out. Whereas the surgeon was much more laid back. But I tell you what, the surgeon's office is very fancy, very fancy. I had to get my dad to pay to push me ahead, because the wait on the NHS was 25 weeks to see a surgeon. So I would have had to spend 25 weeks just, imagining that my eyesight was deteriorating completely. And it's amazing, because he'd said that to me. I felt my eyesight going, and I ring my friends up and I can't read my phone anymore. And it's just because I was looking at my phone too fucking much, and it does that to you, like your eyes go a bit funny.
Were you like Will Ferrell in Anchorman too? Were you just walking around like,
Exactly.
Devastated also that you didn't get like your little pass that you could park right outside of Tesco as well.
Yeah, there was so much about it. I was going to be a nicer person. Well, that's not going to happen now. So, I mean, just had to settle with who I am. Diagnonsense, I've got up in the chat there. There we go. So, I don't know if you want to give me an affirmation. I mean, I quite like one. Maybe you could make something up and I can chant it back to you. Vicky, I feel like you're ready.
Well, I'm of course a qualified doctor, as you know.
You are, yes. Give me something so I can move on. If not, just to the next slide, because these brains are quite intense, aren't they?
Don't believe everything they tell you.
That's good. Okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Don't believe everything they tell you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like a weight has been lifted, Vicky. It's a good job you're an agony aunt.
Yes, I can help.
And that brings us nice and neatly to Vicky and an amazing story that's going to warm our cockles.
Oh, I love warming people's cockles, as you know. Alexis, it's one of my hobbies. So this is a story about my dog, who is called Archie, who is 12 years old, who we've had since he was a little tiny pups. Well, actually, he wasn't that tiny, because he's a golden retriever, so they're actually quite big, even when you get them, even though they're really cute. And we've had him since he was 8 weeks old, so and he's now 12, so that's 11 years and a lot of weeks, which I can't do. I'm not doing maths now at this time of night. So anyway, so about, let's say March, it was around mid-March, my dog started getting very, very anxious, and he was sort of barking and breathing really fast, and we were like, oh no, what's happening? He's like an old dog. Is he having like heart problems or all this sort of thing? So we took him to the vet. I say we, my other half took him to the vet. I was very busy, I don't know, having a white wine, I think. And went to the vet, and the vet said, well, he's very anxious. This dog is very, very anxious, and we need to help him out with this. So I'm going to prescribe some doggy anti-anxiety tablets. So my partner got these tablets and he brought them home, and he said, we've got to give the dog antidepressants. And I said, oh, that's really awful. Why do you think the dog's depressed? And we were, we sort of, I looked it up online. I was like, which, does he have these symptoms? And I kind of found this questionnaire. It said, is he sluggish? And he wasn't. He was quite perky. It said, has he lost his appetite? He certainly hadn't lost his appetite. He really loves to eat. It said, does he have any memory or recall problems? And he's never been good at recall, to be honest. And he's not got a particularly good memory. And then there was another question that said, does he still have interest in his hobbies? And I realised at that point this wasn't actually a questionnaire for dogs, but anyway, I persevered. And it said, if you've got anxiety, then walking is very good. I thought, well, he does quite a bit of that. He does like that. It suggested watching a movie. But he couldn't focus. I think that was his memory recall problems. It suggested he flicked through a magazine. I gave him a magazine, he just chewed it up. But anyway, so then we thought, well, maybe he was still really anxious, really barking. Maybe we're going to have to start him on these fucking temazepam type doggy stuff. So we were about to give him one, and then I said, should we just wait a few more days and just see how it goes? So we sort of carried on waiting and monitoring him. And I can hear a dog barking now, and that's weird because I'm away, so that's not my dog, but that's made me feel a bit agitated. Anyway, so then just by chance, I had booked myself onto a, you're going to love this, online yoga meditation day. As you do, I've got my own mat, I had some water, I was all set. And I did this online day, and that evening my dog seemed an awful lot kind of quieter, and he was like less barkish and less sort of anxious. And then the next day I did a bit of meditation. I was trying to zone out, and gradually I realized the dog isn't anxious. It's me that is anxious. And it's actually, the fact that we nearly gave this poor dog medication for my anxiety, is the sort of tragedy here. And it's not him that's barking, it's actually me. I am barking. And so basically we didn't give him the meds. I've had to I'm literally daily meditating in yoga all the time. Like I can't get any work done because I'm just constantly relaxing. And so that is the time I almost gave my dog antidepressants.
Amazing. And
so next time he's anxious, I'm going to have those doggy tabs myself.
And there we go.
Dog drugs.
Do they really give dogs antidepressants?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, this vet did. I mean, I won't name names. You've got to ask some questions, I suppose.
But, your vet on a street corner?
Yeah. Just had like a label, like a T-shirt with vet written on it.
Yeah.
and quite expensive.
My cats had to have anti-anxiety things. They do it quite a lot.
Oh,
very highly strong. Just as you were telling the story, he came in shouting,
oh my God,
soaking wet, like he wanted to be involved, and like, I don't want to make this, can't be all about a dog when there's a cat in the vicinity.
That's
you know, like
point.
So
it's very weird because we're getting people in the chat also saying the vet tried to give their cat antidepressants. So this is now officially a thing.
Oh, you see, the other thing I forgot to say actually is in March, I don't know if you remember, that's when COVID fucking kicked off here. The dog didn't know about COVID.
Was he just feeling rough? There we go. There's a little joke there in the chat. In the chat.
Yeah.
Did you get some free Valium?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, we had to pay. It's actually quite expensive, the vet. So I think it was about £95.
Whoa.
Really good value, guys. So yeah.
And I've got a picture of Archie there.
Oh,
there he is.
There we go.
That's us social distancing in the garden.
He looks happy enough, doesn't he? Joker.
Yeah,
You on.
yeah, it's me.
He's grinding them up and snorting them in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And what other things are you doing? When we talked recently, you said you bought a gymnastics beam and you had a nutty list to help you with the anxiety.
Yes,
What other things are you?
That was. I told you that in private, Alexa.
Oh yeah, sorry, with all the other people that listen.
No, I did. I bought a gymnastics beam. You know, when they said they were going to lock us down, I really thought we were all going to be literally locked in. I've got a lively imagination, and I just thought, oh no, we're going to be trapped in our houses. So I ordered online a child's gymnastics beam, and it's a fold-up one. It folds up to 4 foot. You can go up to 8 foot, and you can walk along it balancing like Olga Corbett.
Amazing.
In her heyday.
Do we have any other questions for Vicky?
I do.
Oh, Katie, you got your hand up. You don't need to put your hand up, my darling. You can
sorry.
yeah, go for it.
Are you allowed in your bakers again yet?
Mate, no, the thing is, just to fill people in who don't know this story, I have been banned from my local bakers because I suggested that they might make their staff let their staff wear masks. This was before the government had said if you work in places you don't have to wear masks. So it was when we were all kind of I was in a total fucking panic and shouting at all my friends, wear a mask, stay away. Don't come to my house. I was using it as an excuse as well, just to get rid of people that I wasn't keen on. But I went in the baker's and I said, would you let your staff wear a mask? And he said, get out of my shop. And I said, but you know, it's health and safety. And he said, you don't know what I've been through. So obviously he'd had some awful experience. And I said, but surely that would make it more important that we all wear masks. And he said, right, I'm not selling you that bread and those croissants. Actually, there was a pan of chocolat in there as well. He said, having just said that's £9.60, he said, I'm not going to sell you this bread and croissants. He said, get out of my shop. And I, for some reason, said, I have consumer rights. I insist on buying this bread, croissants, and actually there's a pan of chocolat in there as well. And he sort of looked a bit shocked and took my money. And then he said, what a horrible lady, as I walked out, and then apologised to the people waiting in the queue. But luckily I had a mask on, so no one knew it was me. So I suppose I could put a different mask on and go back in, but I realised really that paying £6.50 for a loaf of sourdough was probably maybe not worth it anyway. But,
go back and give him the dog anxiety questionnaire. I think I feel that he's got issues that I feel he might find rectified by that. If
that's a good idea.
How does he feel now? Because everyone has to wear them.
Well, so. I haven't asked him that, but I will go in tomorrow, Tiff.
I think you should.
And just reopen the dialogue. I mean, what can go wrong?
We need closure.
What's there to lose now? Really?
Nothing. Just go in and say, anytime you want to apologise to me, we're all good.
I mean, to be fair, he's probably watching. But I'd really like to have started baking, but that fucking hasn't happened. So we just don't eat bread now.
Slowly dying of starvation. It's fine.
We eat cake like the Queen.
Right, we have an affirmation for you. It's come through from the spirit world. There's life in the old dog yet.
Oh, is that about me?
No, I knew you'd say that. No, it's not. It's just the only doggy thing that I could actually think of.
I've been called a dog before, but this is the first old dog.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. There's life in the old dog. Yes.
Oh, I will tell him.
Tell him he's been the star of the show tonight. He's pulled focus from all of us.
Yeah, he's beautiful.
That kind of brings us to the end. I mean, I was going to give out some awards, but I didn't get any. So I'm just going to award some of these titles away. Most vaginas in a story, I'm going to give you to Sophie. So round of applause for Sophie. Least chance of getting a knighthood or damehood goes to Shazia. Well done, you. Best slutty duck rather goes to Tiff. And most croissants, or actually best use of croissant in a story, goes to Vicky. So well done, you. Excellent. thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please continue to donate through the PayPal link. We're actually also going to be making the link to this recording available. So if people that you know of weren't able to watch tonight, we'll put it all out on social media and they'll be able to donate to get a copy of this recording, because I know it's like a difficult time this week and some people are going back to school, etc. I just wanted to say some thank yous to our amazing guests tonight, Tiff, Sophie, Shazia and Vicky. Thank you. It was really brilliant, amazing, and some great stuff in the chat. Lots of love for you guys. Thank you to the Funny Women team, to Emily. Where's Emily? Can't see her at the minute, but yeah, for producing tonight's show, and Funny Women and Lynn, Becky, Kate, Mariana, all the team being so super supportive, and to the charities who've been involved as well and giving us their support. And thank you so much. I will see you all the next time we almost. Good night. Farewell. Mwah. Mwah.